Brad Alford. Join me at the Buchanan Estate for Rockland Road, live in concert, Saturday, July 12th. Complimentary dinner at 6, showtime 7 p.m. 1675 Old North Stilesville Road, Eubank, Kentucky. Visit thebuchananestate.com for details. You don't want to miss this. Hey, y'all, it's Brad Alford, and I have got a special guest for you this evening. There's a special show coming up. I have on the phone right now with me, and you're not going to believe this, Paul Martin. That's right, Paul Martin. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Brad.
Man, I'm doing great, man. How you been doing?
Doing good. We've been busy. Been busy so far this year, and so thankful for that, Just working hard, and that's good. It's a good thing to do what you love and work hard at it.
When you're as talented as you and your family, I would imagine that staying busy is pretty simple. I'd say your phone rings off the hook would be my guess, right?
Man, this year has been a very blessed year. It's like our social media numbers have been growing, and as a result of that, we're starting to get a lot of traffic on our through our website. People want us to, to book us and stuff. So it's been real exciting, and getting ready to get out new music soon in the next few weeks, and just, exciting times for sure.
Well, I want to talk to you about your new music because I am excited for that. I'm your big fan, man. All right, because I think
back a long way, man.
And that's right, we do. But I tell everybody the story about, like, you would come to my gig, and I had a pretty good band, man. Those guys could play, okay?
Oh, yeah.
All of them were solid. But you would get up on stage, and I'd say, hey, Paul, you want to get up and do one? You'd play my guitar better than I do for a while, sing one and sing better than I do, but then you go back and get on the drums, the keyboards, the bass. I mean, if we had a saxophone, I bet you would have grabbed it, right? And played that better than anybody on stage. I mean, better than my band.
I dabbled with saxophone, but not long enough to really call myself a sax player. Back in the 80s, I did somebody showed me one for $50, and I messed around with it for a while. But when I got older, it was hard to find time to practice the instrument. You start playing and stuff, and you know how it is when you're working and stuff. You're out playing shows and stuff. I would do it. My dad had a studio, so I was always there. And once I hit my early 20s, I found it a little more difficult to find time to practice new instruments. So.
Bill was your father. I remember going into that studio with my father, who did an album in your dad's studio. My dad was Jim Alford, and you probably don't even remember that. It's been so long ago, but my dad actually recorded a gospel album in Bill Martin's studio, and that's the first time I ever saw you. I just vaguely remember that. We were really young.
When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I started playing drums on the records that people were doing at my dad's studio. The longer I played, I took over and started playing bass, and I played piano and the guitar. And I just had a fascination with it. I always did. I just loved it. I know you feel the same way I do. You just have a passion for it, and it's just like I like doing this.
It's addictive, So real quick, just to kind of slap your resume or your bio out there. When you left Lexington, I'm trying to remember, was it Kathy Mattea that you were with first?
Well, when I left Lexington, I was still with Exile, as we were still playing. In the mid-'90s, a couple of guys, Steven had been there a while, and they wanted to go home and raise their families. When I joined Exile, I was 25, and everybody else was like 40. So I worked on becoming a solo artist. I had a publishing deal, and I worked on that. And it never materialized, but in the interim period, I played steel guitar for Kathy Mattea, and I went back and played keyboards for her, too. And then Jamie and we got married in 1995. After that, then I went and played bass for the Oak Ridge Boys, and then I got off the road for a little while. And actually, I got some in the early 2000s. I was running my studio. Me and another buddy of mine, we got a bunch of music in like motion pictures, like Will Ferrell's Kicking and Screaming and Rango, that movie. We got some music in those movies and stuff, and that's kind of what I thought I was going to do.
You've never told me that. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just I've done. It's like my life's been full of little things like that all through my life, and I just kind of you're just living your life and doing what you do, and I don't spend a lot of time looking at. I'm trying to do the next thing, I guess that's what I've always done. And in the early 2000s, we were raising our family. We had 4 kids, and I wanted to kind of stay home and be a dad, and raise my family. So the early 2000s, I was just thinking, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, just do the studio thing, and was really doing it, staying real busy there. And then, of course, in 2008, I got a call one Monday morning from Marty Stewart. His bass player had left, and for some reason, he thought of me, and he just, said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, well, what are you doing? He said, will you come play some bass for us? So I got their music like on Tuesday morning, and on Friday night, I got on the bus and I played my first show with them like in Jackson, Mississippi at a rodeo. And I went down there and we played 2 shows that day, and we got done, and Marty said, hey man, you want to do the Opry with us next Friday? I said, well, sure, I'll go do that. So I did that, and then he said, why don't you just join the band? So wow. Then I was back in that again. So
I was talking about on one of my radio shows not too long ago about Marty Stewart, how Marty Stewart, I mean, his country is cornbread, but that guy's got mojo. He's a rock star. I mean, look at the guy, the way he dresses. I mean, he could stand on stage with Kiss or Led Zeppelin and be just as cool as they are, you know?
Yeah, Marty he's a very unique human being. Marty's like a brother. I met Marty when I was with Exile. His career was taking off in 1990, right after, Exile just got signed to Arista when I was there, and we were having, Keep in the Middle Road. Those were the hits we were having, and he was having like Hillbilly Rock and things like that. So we did shows together, and we became friends back then. And then I went and played some guitar in the mid-90s with him when I was trying to be a solo artist. His guitar player had left for a while, so I went and did that and sang. And he's like a brother. We have a real, very unique relationship. I'll text him something funny from time to time, or I'll call him, or he'll call me. It's that kind of relationship. He's like family, and he's a big part of, when I was playing with him was when my kids were little and they started watching Marty and what we were doing. And of course, Jamie's dad's Dwayne Allen, the Oak Ridge Boys. So my kids, they're just watching all this stuff going around them. And it just, it wasn't like, whoa, it just became a part of their makeup. They thought, oh, I guess that's what we're supposed to do too, So that's how this all started,
Well, your wife is an absolute angel. You are a lucky guy. Yeah. She is so nice, always smiling, always. Anytime I've been around her, she's a happy girl.
She's been, last year was probably, Jamie and I just celebrated 30 years of marriage back in June. And, in all our years of marriage, Jamie's been a very happy person, very, but last year on Easter Sunday, she lost her mama. And that's been a real tough thing on her. Every day, anybody's lost a loved one, they know. I don't have to tell you, but there'll be days where she'll be thinking about her mom, and I'll walk in, I can tell she's, and I mean, she's still very thankful and very grateful for what she has, of course. But like all of us who've lost, when I joined Exile about 6 months after I got in the band, I lost my mom. She was only 50, lost her to breast cancer. And she never got to see me have the hits that I got to sing with Exile. So she was gone before I even got those, so, and then it's like, I understood like the last year when she came from the hospital on Easter Sunday, the kids and I had to sing at church that day, and her dad and them came home in the afternoon. And when she walked in, the first thing she said, Paul, she said, I know what it's like to lose your mama now. I know that. She goes, I don't like it. I said, no, it's no fun, is it? So, but she's still a very, very upbeat, very happy, you're right. She is an angel. There's no doubt about it.
And your kids too, man.
She's got to be an angel, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. She's built of steel. She is. So I saw y'all play live at that gig. I can't remember where we're at. We're out in the horse farm. Our friends, mutual friends, all put it together. And so I got called in to sing with some of the members of Muddy Creek and and Uncle Elijah. Kevin Slusher was there. It was a good day. Those guys were like my heroes when I was young. They were on the radio, man, locally. I heard them all the time,
Yeah, and I did a stint with Muddy Creek back in the 80s.
I heard that. I didn't even know that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I played keys and guitar for them in the mid-'80s. It's like, all those guys are like family, and obviously in your band, you have people in your band that were like brothers to me,
Oh, yeah.
Like Rooster and people like that, so we have a whole lot of people in common for sure.
And Donnie, I think the world of Donnie. Donnie's, he's a cool guy, I remember that show. Y'all had to get on out of there, and you came over and asked me if we would play after you. And I was like, yeah, we'll help. I was like, oh, great, So I want to tell you this funny story because I don't even know if you heard me do this, but on the first song, we finished the first song, and I told the story about, I said, I gotta come clean on something here with you all. I was talking to the crowd, and I thought there's no way musically we're going to hold up. So I'm going to talk some. I'm going to talk a bunch. So I told him, I said, we didn't have a dressing room. So I started looking around, and you got to make do with what you got. I saw them porta potties on the hill. So I thought, there you go. There's my temporary dressing room. So I ran to the top of the hill with my duds. I climbed in that porta potty, and I had bought these jeans. They were called skinny jeans, and I'm so dumb, I thought they would make me look, skinny. But that's not why they call them skinny jeans. I couldn't hardly even get them on. So I got these skinny jeans. Finally, I got them on. I'm falling down in the porta potty. It's rocking back and forth. There wasn't anybody around the porta potty when I went in, okay? I looked around. There was like one little kid standing in line. I opened the door. I put my cowboy hat on. I stepped out, and there's like 100 people, man, standing in line waiting to get in the porta potties, all looking at me like, are you okay, dude? Should we call a doctor? So I told that story at the end of the first song and had everybody laughing there, and we pulled it off, but you were a tough act to follow, and which leads me to, if you haven't heard Rockland Road, they are absolutely amazing. When they're on stage, there is more talent there than you can find in some whole states. I mean, I'm serious about that. So you're going to be in Eubank, Kentucky, 1675 North Old Stilesville Road, and that is July 12th.
So it's this Saturday, July 12th.
So the date on that's July 12th, and it includes a free dinner.
Yeah.
Followed by the concert. Dinner's at 6 p.m., and then you and Rockland Road, your family, you all take the stage at 7 p.m. Did I get that right? Okay.
Yeah, and we kind of take, it's kind of like we have our show is kind of like a musical journey. It's like we do everything you can imagine from songs that we've done, original material that we've written and released already, new stuff's coming out. But it's we have everything. We do it, obviously. My father-in-law is, lead singer of the Oak Ridge Boys. So we do an Oak Ridge Boys tribute. Then we do an Exile tribute. We do, actually in our shows, we usually do a Marty Stewart tribute. Then there's a portion of our show, we just break it down to acoustic and do, where there's 6-part harmony. Everybody sings. So we've been doing this for a while, but when we do a show, when we break down the acoustic, we do a couple, 3 things, and then we start just throw out requests, and we call it Stump the Band. It's amazing. Usually they'll call a song, and somebody will know it in the family. We don't pull it off. As Marty used to say, if we know it, we do it. If we don't know, we still do it.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. And I'm coming down there. I'm going to come down and watch you guys. I haven't heard you in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait.
Yeah, we just did. Yeah, last year when we did that, a couple of summers ago, actually, we did that show. That was just an acoustic show that we did where it's just, real stripped down. But, I mean, we're a full band. I mean, it's, Texas and March drum, talent played bass and guitar. And, everybody kind of knows me as kind of being a multi-instrumentalist. I've always played different instruments. Well, my kids have kind of fallen into that suit, too. It's like we didn't plan it that way. But when we started playing shows with these kids on this certain songs, hey, I need to come out front and see it. Well, I'll go play drums. You come out front and play guitar or what? It just kind of it becomes part of the show itself. Is that watching us change instruments during the show? It's like we didn't plan that. It just kind of worked that way.
Well, that your kids absolutely have great musical genetics. There's no other way for that to be. I mean, you and Jamie are both musical.
Yeah. I said Jamie's mom and dad, obviously everybody knows my heritage in Kentucky, from playing with Exile and Marty and the Oak Ridge Boys and Kath Matea and Steve Warner, people like that. But Jamie's mom and dad, her dad obviously is the lead singer of the Oak Ridge Boys, but Jamie's mother she spent 40 years at the Grand Ole Opry as a background vocalist of the Carol Lee singers, and so my kids, is just everywhere around them. It's just always been vocals and music. I mean, it's just all they've known. It just seems to come so natural for them. I mean, I'm at a point right now where I'm just hanging on to my job, but I'm figuring they're going to fire me pretty soon. Yeah, Dad, we got this. You can go home now.
Yeah. Well, if that ever happens, you win either way you go. That means they would be far enough along where you can go fishing,
Yeah, I mean,
finally,
it's been so much fun. We've been doing this now for 10 years with the kids, and they're all grown. I mean, it's like, as you know, when they're young, like they were when we first started doing this, there's a bit of a novelty to that. People's cute, and I just told them, I said, I want you guys to. They've all become songwriters. The new material that we're getting ready to put out, they've all written it, and I mean, they're really good songwriters. They're really good artists, and I just kind of sit back and stay out of the way. I'm providing, my parts. I play my parts and do my thing, but I kind of steer clear and let them be the artist. It's like it's their thing, and in the long term, I'm sure there'll be Jamie and I will sit back totally. But for right now, it is, it's a real fascinating show because we can really run in a 90-minute performance, we can cover about 4 or 5 decades easily in music, so it's so much fun.
Well, I remember being surprised how diverse the show was. I mean, you all would do, just something out of left field all of a sudden, and it definitely keeps you interested. And for the people out there, if you haven't heard them do their thing live, this is your chance. And it's really something special. It's something that you definitely won't regret. Get yourself a ticket and go, because I'm excited about it, man. And this venue is, I've talked to them just a couple times, but with Tony Hammonds, our friend Tony, Tony told me all about what they were doing, and everything I heard was like, wow, that's needed. It's necessary.
They're really trying to do it right. It's like they're trying to have a music really nice and a great place, great destination. It's not just, go out, sit in the hot sun and watch some music. I think they're trying to have great food and, make it, like I said, an event every time they have music stuff there. So they're trying to do it the right way. And they're really nice folks.
And again, the Buchanan Estate, 1675 North Old Stilesville Road, and that's in Eubank, Kentucky. I think it's, a little over an hour maybe from Lexington. It's outside of Lexington there. It's not too bad. So all the people out there from the Lexington area, if you want to hear something great, and I don't say that very often, but they really are great. If you haven't heard Rockland Road, get yourself a ticket. Come check them out. You will not regret that, because it's something you'll always remember.
Me, all my music friends, guys here in Nashville, and all my buddies, all my brethren up there in Kentucky that I played with growing up. So it's like, for me, sometimes I had to sit back and everyone, are these my kids? I sit back in kind of amazement for what they do. They don't even understand sometimes just how talented they are. At the end of the day, Jamie and I've tried to raise good kids to be good human beings when they grow up, and they've all got real good sense of humor. We just played a show last Thursday night. We played Illinois with Exile. Mm-hmm. And those are like family guys to me. And the funny part about it is my kids, because the Exile guys did a bunch of shows with the Oak Ridge Boys back in the 80s. So there were so many funny stories going back and forth, and we all sat and talked after the show for a good 40-50 minutes after we were done. Everybody, it was such a fun thing, and my kids they fit right in. It's like they're like old souls. They really, Marge, my oldest, he does a great impression of his granddad. So the Exile guys, knowing Dwayne like they do, they just love that. So
oh yeah.
If you the thing about Jamie's dad is, you think of him as the lead singer of the Oak Ridge Boys, but back in the 80s, 70s too, they had publishing companies. Had it not been for Dwayne, there'd been no Steve Earle. It's amazing some of the stuff he's done.
I had no idea about that when you told me that. That kind of blew me away. So they had the business end of things happening. They were smart about it. Yeah.
He told me years ago, he said when they were still gospel, the Oaks used to do the song in their shows called "Go Out to the Program," and he said it tore the place up. It was such a showstopper. But he said what he noticed was when they got done with the show, they come out to their record table, and he said everybody come in and go, "You guys did great," but they go straight to Dottie Rainbow's table and tell them that they were telling Dottie how this song she wrote changed their lives or whatever. And he goes, "That's when I realized how important the song really was," and that turned his life around. I'd love if you got to spend time with Jamie's dad. He's just a wealth of information, his wisdom, and as a grandparent to my kids, he's just, Christmas night, we'll go over there, and instead of going, "'Twas the night before Christmas," he's telling them all about songwriting and all this stuff. He's just been, because they have such a passion for it too, and he loves it,
I'm picturing that. Him sitting there with all your kids huddled around, and that's great,
the
man.
The funny part is, as a proud granddad, there's a song we do in our show typically. It's a gospel song that Texas sings, and every time she sings it, she really has something special about it. And I guarantee you, every time Jamie's dad's in the audience, she sings it, I look back, he's bawling his eyes out. He just tears him up. It gets to him every time.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a thing of his pride and his grandkids, but she really has, all of them have, really good voices, good singing voices. and they really seem to understand how to get inside the song when they sing it. So, I don't know if that's things you learn or it's God given or what, but as a parent, I just sit back sometimes and go, are these my kids?
I bet you do. Yeah, I bet when you're on stage and you hear that Jackson 5 type harmony coming out, or Eagles, or whatever you want to call it, the back vocals, I was like, listen to that. Got to have the same DNA to be that tight vocally. I don't really believe that, man.
We've been fortunate to sing the national anthem at like NBA playoffs, things like that, and these big old arenas. And what's funny is all the kids have either perfect pitch or near perfect pitch. We always do it in the key of G, and right before we sing it, somebody will go, "Oh, listen!" They find that's where we started, or whatever.
Yeah,
and they all just seem to hone in on that real fast. It's real fascinating to watch, for sure.
Well, there's, to me anyway, when I've done the national anthem, like a big arena or something, it's the most terrifying thing to me. I always kept a pitch pipe. I'd wear a blazer, a sport jacket, and slick my hair back. But I'd have a tuning pipe in my jacket pocket. And when they would call my name, I'd walk out and I'd blow on the we'll say can't, because I was terrified. What was the guy's name? Carl somebody. He was an Olympic athlete, and he started in the wrong key, and he stopped and said, hold on, I got this. And he tried it again. It was like, oh, man. I mean.
Yeah. And we have done it. We've done it. I'll tell you the funny part. The first time we ever did a national anthem, we had worked up our arrangement because some old Fairbuyer guy had told me, Paul, you guys need a version of the national anthem in your hip pocket. So we worked up a version, and we'd had it worked up about a month. We got a call from the Indiana Pacers. They said, hey, we had a cancellation. Can you guys come sing the anthem?
Oh, wow.
So the first time we ever sang the anthem was at the field house up there in Indianapolis. They were playing the Chicago Bulls, and the place was packed. They were young. This is like 2016, and they were little. We got out there on the floor, and of course, I held one mic, and we had like 2 or 3 mics. The kids didn't miss a lick, but as we were walking off the court, my oldest son said, "Dad, your head was shaking."
Oh,
you think?
After all you've been through musically. And that made you nervous, right? Which I understand that. I did it at some UK games, a couple of UK games and I don't know what's Rupp Arena hold 20,000 people.
I used to hold 23, but I think they remodeled it, but it still holds like right at 20. I think you're right.
This was back in the day when I was doing all right. I don't get to do things like that now. But like I walked out and I remember thinking all those people, and it got really quiet, and it entered my mind. These people want me to forget the words, and I'm sure about it, and I got that stuck in my head, but I made it through it. Tubby Smith looking at me like, hurry up, we're going to play ball now. And, well, Paul, listen, I really appreciate you
catching up. So
yeah, calling in, and I know we said we were going to talk for 10 minutes, and it's been like 3 hours now. So I am going to do that podcast, man. And tell me that you're going to come on there and do that. I'm going to. It's going to be good.
We have too much history not to. We could have an interesting podcast for sure. Because we know what to talk about.
Yeah, and you're the only person that I know, my only musician friend that I know of anyway, that won a Grammy. And I heard about that, and I thought, you know what? If anybody should win a Grammy, it's Paul Martin. Yeah, I think so. I think somebody made a good call there.
Well, it was such a thrill when it was with Marty. We did an album back in it was Ghost Train came out in 2010, I guess it was, and we got a Grammy for a tune on there on that album. So it was such a thrill.
Oh man, that's an honor. I mean, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And you're the only person that I know, my only musician friend that I know of anyway, that won a Grammy. And I heard about that, and I thought, you know what? If anybody should win a Grammy, it's Paul Martin. Yeah, I think so. I think somebody made a good call there. And again, folks, it's the Rockland Road live at the Buchanan Estate, and that's 1675 North Old Stilesville Road, and that's in Eubank, Kentucky. They're only going to sell 300 tickets for this show, and the ticket includes dinner served around 6 o'clock, and then the show starts at 7 o'clock. So you can bring the whole family, man. This is a family event, and it's on a beautiful, beautiful farm. The venue is incredible, and I haven't actually seen it in person. I've seen pictures. It's going to be something special. This is going to be a staple in the music scene. I really believe that in Central Kentucky.
If they do it right, which I think they are, they could turn this into a really nice, like I said, destination. You know, where you know you go to see an artist, and it's a nice evening, like with a nice meal and stuff. You know, that's not something, you know, very few places anymore you go where, you know, you just go see you get popcorn and go watch them play. or,
yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
And if they serve a meal, that's like, they can be a really nice thing. So.
Right on. Right on. Well, Paul, I will see you on the 12th, July 12th. Tell Jamie and the kids hello. Really looking forward to it. You know, we've got ads on 105.5 Hank FM to promote this, and you and I and everybody's going to spread this around. So if our musician brothers out there here in Kentucky get this and hear this interview, spread it around, man. Help us out, you know, spread the word.
Exactly. If you got a night off, come spend it with us.
There you go. It could be like a big Kentucky musical family reunion. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That would be so cool.
All right, Paul. Well, I will see you Saturday, and it's going to be a great night. I got a good feeling about it.
Me too. I'm looking forward, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you too. So.
Yeah, man.